Number 28, Patrick Ewing.
Here's Patrick Ewing's resume. One-time first-team All-NBA, six-time second-team All-NBA, and quick sidebar on this. I got very upset a few weeks ago about the NBA changing the rules and allowing you to put two centers, Jokic and Embiid, on first-team All-NBA. This is a perfect example why. Because by changing the rules, it now makes Ewing look worse. Because Ewing, it's like, oh, that was only first-team All-NBA once. Well, that was because he was playing against Hakeem, David Robinson, Shaquille O'Neal at some point later in his career. There's only one center. But now, if it's going to be multiple centers make it, then his six-time second-team All-NBA doesn't look as good. Three-time All-Defensive Team, I think that's a little low. Best player on a finalist, 2 finals appearances. 6 times he was top 5 MVP finishes. Career 21-10. Only 12 guys in the last 50 years have been 20-10 guys. 7th on the all-time blocks list. Now, the knock on Ewing historically has been not great in the postseason. And while he did come up short in some postseasons, we gloss over what he did great in the postseason. So I already told you, went to 2 finals, the best player on 1 finalist. The second finals, he got injured right before, so he didn't get to play in. Career in the playoffs, 20-10 in the playoffs. So everyone says, he came short in the playoffs. 20-10 career playoff average. Only 10 guys in the last 50 years have done that. His first career playoff victory, he gave you 31-10 against Boston in 88. In 89 against Chicago and Michael Jordan, dropped 32-11 facing elimination. And then in game 6 of that series, gave you 22, 13, 6 assists, 3 blocks, 2 steals. But he's up against Michael Jordan. Jordan drops 40. 1990, game 4 in the first round against Larry Bird in Boston. 44, 13, and 5 with 7 blocks and 2 steals to even the series at 2 apiece. Averaged 36, 13, and 5 after falling down 0-2 to Bird and McHale, including 31, 8, 10, and 4 to beat them and win the series. Now, that was a lesser Bird and McHale, but still carried that Knicks team. The next round, in the only game they won against Detroit, the soon-to-be champion Pistons, he had 45, 13, and 6. Then in 92, to beat Detroit, gives you 31 and 19 to knock him out of the postseason. And then game 1 against the Bulls and Michael Jordan, 34, 16, 5 assists, 1 block, 6 steals, and then 33 and 9 in the game 5 that they lost. That 92 team was a great team, but not good enough, obviously, to beat the 92 Bulls, one of the greatest teams ever. Some would argue that was the best Bulls team, not the 96 Bulls. 94 to get to the finals, to beat Chicago in game 7, 18, 17, and 6. Then 24, 22, and 7 with 5 steals in game 7 to beat Indy and make his first finals. So the reason I'm giving you these individual games with Ewing is there is this myth he never came up big. He had big game 7 to beat Chicago, a big game 7 to beat Indy, and then come the finals, Hakeem dominated. There's no way around it, but Hakeem is going to show up very, very high on this list. And then in 97, got totally screwed. That was the year P.J. Brown body slammed Charlie Ward. All the Knicks get suspended for coming off the bench. So Ewing misses game 6, then he's back for game 7. Some of his teammates are suspended for game 7. In that game 7, he's 37 and 17, but they lost. And then he blows his Achilles in 99, only has one other great playoff game, 20 and 7 in a game 7 against Miami in 2000, the Eastern Conference semifinals. So the reason I gave you those individual games, and I think it's important to, is because we can't act like Ewing never came up big in the postseason. Jordan beat him a bunch. He got outplayed by Hakeem. Those are 2 of the greatest players in the history of the game. But the idea that a guy who's just one of 10 guys in the last 50 years to be 20 and 10 in the playoffs, whose careers are over. There's other guys, more than 10 guys on that list that are active. We'll see if they stay on that list when their career's over. The idea that Ewing was a total playoff no-show, I totally disagree with. Diehard Knicks fan and buddy of mine, Rob Perez, has a comment about the Patrick Ewing ranking. I gave Rob a look at the list, not the full list, but a good section of it. He's going to mention a few names that have not yet been revealed, but they're obviously going to be somewhere on this list. We bleep out where they actually are because Rob spoils it, which he's not supposed to. But here's Rob's issue with my Patrick Ewing ranking.
Nick, you continuing to be a prisoner of the moment is going to make me jump out the window. You have Patrick Ewing 28th, while Karl Malone and Charles Barkley down John Stockton. Those are the four best players of an entire generation that did not win a championship. They should absolutely be grouped together. The Knicks win the 92 championship if Michael Jordan does not exist. Did you watch those games? What was required from Patrick Ewing? You nuts?
So here's the problem for Rob. I agree with him, though. And those guys, by the way, you're going to hear Barkley, Malone, and Stockton's names rolled off shortly. But of those four guys, Ewing was the least impactful. Ewing versus Stockton is a close call. Ewing versus Barkley and Ewing versus Malone, as much as I love Pat, not that close of a call. Those guys were simply better. He still, though, was good enough to be the 28th greatest player of the last 50 years. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.